Hey y'all, this is ASJ.
Yeah, I know they're like, do you want an entrance and announcement? Nah, I don't care. Yeah, kind of just, one foot in front of the other. Years of training. So I'm a standard, so I'm a standard. Everybody's always saying you should sit. Interviews, doesn't matter where you go. TV, news, especially anchors, like they forgot how to stand up. Let's talk about this action show you did with Have a Seat while you do it. Come on. Just stand. So, thanks, sir.
What's on your mind? I see. It's very interesting. It's good. Thank you for sharing it. I guess I'll be back tomorrow. So what's up?
How are you today?
I'm good, sir. Thank you for asking. But I probably don't need this thing, do I?
No, probably don't, right?
No.
Louder than the mic.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway. She has spoken. All right. So anyway, what do we want to talk about? What had happened was. What's up, big man? Is it really weird I'm using a microphone? I'm 2 feet from you? Because it feels weird. I'm just saying.
So what's up? Well, hi. 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 Hola. Konnichiwa. Mahalo. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum assalam. Shukran. Huh? ¿Qué pasa?
¿Qué onda? Sounds like it should be a tequila commercial.
So what's up?
Are you glad to be back? Glad to be here in Evansville?
It's pretty awesome. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to Evansville. If I have, it's been so long I couldn't tell you when it was. But it's good to be back. I'm enjoying it. I always like meeting people and talking and I like that it's cold. It's kind of nice. I hate the heat. I spend a lot of time in the heat, and now it's cool, and I'm kind of happy. Although it's hot in here, and I just can't decide. 1 minute I'm hot, then I'm cold. It's so confusing. Hot flashes. Hot flashes. Yeah. It's not menopause though. Maybe menopause. It could be menopause. Somebody's going to sue me later for that. I'm okay with it. So, yeah, it's good to be back. Meet the fans. I wouldn't believe it after 20 years everybody would be here. It's kind of crazy. I was talking to my buddy Walt, who I'm actually amazed he hasn't crashed the show. We'll give it time. I bet you he'll crash it. Which is cool because I actually expect it. But so when he does, you just gotta laugh because I'll be like, yeah, I told you. Yeah, I was on the Kuwaiti-Iraqi border, and I was kind of tired of bullets and band-aids and 15 years of medicine. I was ready for a break, and I talked to Walter while I was there on the border, and he told me about this, and I thought, I'll come back, I'll do one show. We'll see what it's like. And now I'm booked through 2016. I've got 3 movies in the works. Producer just came out last night. We talked over some projects we're going to work on. And then all of a sudden I'm back there. So kind of waiting to see how it's going to be. Before you ask, no, it's not the Power Rangers movie. I have no contracts with them for the movie, which they're still writing the script, so I don't think anybody has a contract with them for that. But pretty cool stuff. One is kind of a post-apocalyptic film. Disease breaks loose, destroys the world, people die. There's survivor bands that kind of group together, and I end up being the reluctant leader of a band of survivors. And it's pretty cool. So there's a love story that we're working on. It's kind of a faith-based love story that takes place in the heartland, or Ohio. It's about as heartland as you can get. And some stuff like that. Another one that's a thriller, kind of sci-fi. It's like Indiana Jones meets Aliens, So different stuff like that. And then last night, actually, a 4th was dropped in my lap, but we'll put that one on. It's gonna be crazy. I go home Monday. I get on a plane Tuesday for Australia. I'll be gone for 2.5 weeks. And then I come back. We're talking about Chicago, and Pittsburgh, and Laredo, and Lexington is gonna be a big one next year. So who's gonna be there? Well, there we go. All right, I went to Japan.
Some of us would like to go.
Okay, all right. Well, you can be there in spirit.
Right.
All right. So what else? What can I do for you? Yeah.
Well, first, thank you for coming to Evansville and somewhere near St. Louis. That means a lot to me in terms of transportation.
Sure.
What is your story with how you got to be Detective Anderson in Expose and when you were in the movie Footsteps as a police investigator?
Well, actually, I knew the producer, and it was just kind of happened. That's the way most of my career has happened. I was in the right place, and someone said, "Hey, we need to put you to work." And people have been making me work ever since then. I don't understand. But really, that's kind of how it happened. And at the time, I was 22. They put gray in my hair, aged me a bit, and so I ended up being a cop. And then Steps Towards the Sun was one, actually the producer or the director that shot that was out here last night. And there was some legal stuff that went on in the back end with another producer, so that one never got finished and sent out. But that was going to be a fun one. So it's just kind of right time, right place. I'm a pretty laid back guy. And the right person at the right time comes up with something. Yeah, let's do it. Unfortunately, now it's got me booked for almost 2 years, so it's going to keep me busy. I think soon I'm going to end up having to start canceling stuff to do other stuff. This movie we're looking to shoot in January is the post-apocalyptic survival kind of story, and the director for that is at Orlando. Universal is shooting a show called El Artista, which is a huge show, one of the biggest in Latin America. So they're shooting it at Universal Studios, and it's kind of like America Has Talent, but in Spanish. And when he wraps that up, we're going to go and do our film. So probably we'll shoot it in the mountains of West Virginia, something like that. Cold in the winter. So we'll see how much I really like the cold. I think I'm about to find out. Yes, Bob.
So when fame and all that stuff started happening with Car Rangers and started taking off, like how did you guys adjust to all that? Kind of just going from, it was just a show you were filming to becoming a phenomenon. How did you adjust? How did it hit you?
Like a bus. We were famous long before I think any of us really knew it. We filmed so hard, so fast the first year. We were almost never off of set except when we went to bed. And for me, it wasn't really until the end of the first year, around Christmas time, that we had some time off, and I had the ability to go out in public, and I got mauled. Like physically, clothes torn up, missing things, claw marks down my back. Exactly. That's well said. And and then after that, Universal Studios. There's no way to accurately describe that. That was insanity. It was insanity. I mean, crowds were coming at us at some points, and security was everywhere. We still, to this day, Universal hasn't had that many people in their park. The local highway was backed up for 8 miles into town. Tom Brokaw, it made national news. Tom Brokaw did a story on it. And it was wild beyond belief. It really was. As far as how we dealt with it, I don't know about those guys. But for an 18-year-old boy, I lost my mind. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and then I quit going out in public. And then I started throwing huge house parties. So I brought the public to my house. We used to go to these parties, and I'd walk through the house, and there was people I didn't even know. I'm like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" "Yeah, beer's in the fridge." And I'd look at Walt look at me, I'd be like, "You know him?" He'd be like, "No." "I don't know, you know him?" We talk to the other guys, I ask them, "You guys know that guy?" "No." "Cool." And then we'd shake hands, get to know him, like, "All right, sweet, just don't go in my bedroom. Stay out of there, it'll be all right."
Okay, basically when you left the original series and they used the footage to basically end you guys, how did you feel like when you left and they used the footage, old footage to replace you guys? And then they brought you back to Power Rangers Zero. How did they come about bringing you back after they did that?
Well, they knew I was going to leave. I was pretty vociferous about the fact that their pay sucked.
Right.
And so they knew for a long time I wasn't happy.
Right.
And they started writing Tommy's character much stronger,
Right.
so that he could slide into the role as a leader. And he was a very popular character, so it was a good choice. And then when I finally made the walk, and it was like, I'm gone, he'd been built up, and he was a strong character, and he did a great job taking over. So that's kind of how that went. It was a little more spontaneous than I think they had hoped it was, but that's only because they weren't listening to me when I said this was going to happen or I'm gone. I don't think they quite bought it. I think they were preparing for it. I just don't think that they thought that I would carry through with it.
Right.
And I'm not a guy to make idle threats. So I left the show, and they spent several episodes trying to figure out how to fix it and keep it filming, and they did a lot of shooting from the back, and Brad Hawkins did my voice.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of cheesiness,
Yeah.
and it wasn't me.
Because I remember there was like one part where it was like, I knew for years, I didn't know it until I read about it. And then I heard that, oh man, and they voiced somebody else's voice over yours, and I'm like,
Yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. When I came back with you, it was a spontaneous thing. I sat down with Shiki, and he said, hey, would you like to come back for Power Rangers, maybe 17 episodes? I said, sure. So we did it.
thank you for coming.
Yeah, anytime.
So I heard that you guys had a police helicopter show up to one of your house parties.
More than once. Yeah, that was no joke. We threw some crazy parties. Good time. And we had, what happened at the house just needs to stay at the house. Young single guys, lots of industry dancers. I mean, like, Rhythm Nation, like tour dancers, pros, really good dancers, and it was amazing. So,
Obviously, out with this question, what's the most ridiculous question you've got at one of these things?
there's so many. Well, I guess people will ask me, in a specific episode, and it's not so much ridiculous as I'm human, a mere mortal, except when I wear the suit. And somebody will ask me, well, do you remember in this episode when you were doing da-da-da-da-da, and you said this, what were you thinking at that moment? I did 100 episodes in a couple movies 20 years ago. And I tell you what, how old are you, sir? 20 years ago, when you were working your job and you woke up that Thursday morning at 7 a.m., what were you thinking? Well, that was probably a safe answer. But, so that's kind of, sometimes who's like, did you think about that? Because my memory's just not that good. There's some sexiness in this room.
Uh-oh.
Back row. Back row.
This could get up.
Don't speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Schreier and Jason Narby, otherwise known as... Hey, boys.
Did you hear that?
How old are you? 9. He looks at me and goes, that's gay. Next question.
I remember last year I was talking with Walter Jones, and one of the most interesting things I think is interesting of how the entire cast of Power just got invited to Neverland Ranch, Michael Jackson's house. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
It was like Neverland. It was pretty cool. At the time, the Macaulay Culkin story and Michael Jackson was a real big thing. So I kept looking over at the teepees, thinking, I wonder where it happened. You know what I mean? But it was pretty cool. I mean, big steam train and fairgrounds, and at the base of every Ferris wheel and everything else, candy bends, and I mean, when you got that kind of money, why not? You guys want to come up? I didn't want you to come. Fine.
Did you ever get to meet Mr. Jackson?
What?
Did you ever get to meet Michael Jackson?
No. No. I don't think he was there when I think he invited us and left. On purpose. So, yeah. What's that? He was trying to kill me? Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, a 200-foot Michael Jackson that was angry? Pulling a Thriller? You know? Through downtown, Angel Grove? That could have been interesting. We're probably going to get sued again for that comment. Yeah.
So, what was it like working with Paul and Jason over there?
Well, it's kind of like the house. We just don't talk about that. It was awesome. They're probably, aside from Walter, those two were probably the best part of the show for me.
Thanks, man. Was that good? I was just checking. Yes, ma'am.
Obviously, you had the technical and the martial arts skills when you started the show. What else did you learn?
Is this a trick question?
No.
What else did I learn on the show? A lot.
We can be philosophical here.
Oh, so we're going to take it deep. Well, you know, I was a baby. I signed a contract when I was 17. I was 18 on the show. I was surrounded by professionals, guys who actually had taken more than 10 minutes of training in any form of acting. And I didn't know anything about anything, except I didn't have to throw a kick, which is probably the only reason I got the job. And so I was surrounded by people who were constantly more intelligent, better, more confident, and amazing in many aspects that I wasn't. And I wasn't always bright enough to just shut up and listen, because I always felt like I had to step up, you know? Look at all this talent, I always felt like I had to be the man. And I think I tried a lot to be the man, and I wasn't. But it was fun to try. And lots of people laughed about it, usually in my face, and I was cool with that. But no, not really. But it was good. It was great. I worked with a lot of people. I learned a lot about first gay gentleman I ever met. He was on the show. His name was Carlos. I had never met, to my knowledge, a gay gentleman. And he was amazing. He was the coolest guy on the planet. And it was really cool to meet him. And he changed a stereotype that I had in my head. You know, so I started learning from day one on so many levels. I mean, we could spend a week talking about it. It just, you want to talk about a different world. I mean, that's what Hollywood really is. I came out of a Marine Corps family. Officer and a gentleman was my father. My mom was a female cop, first ever in the city of Roswell, New Mexico. And so I came from a pretty straight-laced family. And Hollywood is not full of very straight-laced people. And my mind was blown, and my world opened up on an immense level. It was pretty awesome. So I learned so much. We can have that talk for a while. Well, I'm pretty chill, so like I'm, you know, whatever you want to know. So I'm not going to tell you about my other life.
Well, actually, I was going to say Up was either the ceiling or a Disney Pixar movie. That's what's up. But my question is, I'm just making a joke.
No, that's cool.
What was your audition process like when you had casting director Katie Wallen in front of you? You've never acted. You're handed a side script you got to read. Like, was it hard at first, or what was it like just reading the lines of the future Jason?
Well, actually, the character's name wasn't Jason. And actually, the show when I auditioned was called Families. And my character's name was originally Victor. So when I read the lines, I mean, I was 17. I was almost as immature as I am now. And, I was reading these lines. First, I had to try and do it with a straight face. And I kept asking the guy, I'm like, what is the point, you know? What are we talking about? I learned later that what I should have said is, what's my motivation? I never said that except when I was joking. point is, there was no really way to qualify what I was reading for. I had no idea. And I sure as heck didn't. I mean, they told me it was a show in Japan, but I'd never seen it, never heard of it, had no concept of what it would be today. So I was a little intimidated to have all these cameras pointed at me, and you know, Katie Wallen was a beautiful woman. And there were lots of beautiful people all over LA and all throughout those auditions. I mean, those two right there. See? So I mean, imagine standing, I mean, it's like, it's distracting. I'm trying to keep my eyes off of them right now. Can you tell? They're amazing. I was waiting for it. Good job, buddy. That's called timing. That's called timing. Yes, ma'am.
During your work as a medic, have you ever helped someone and then they recognized you and thought they were being helped by the Lone Ranger?
Most of the time when I was helping people, they were preoccupied. On occasion, I had some minor injuries where guys, you know, I'm sitting there and, you know, arms busted up or something, I'm putting a sling on them, something simple. And then they just kind of, there's one guy, his arm was broken, I'll tell you the story. A Humvee, a door, it was a steel-plated door, 2 inches thick, all kinds of armor. His arm got caught in it, somebody closed the door as he was pulling his arm out. If he'd been in a little further, his body armor would have caught it, and probably just would have cracked a few ribs. He was overhead. And, but it caught him mid-shaft on his arm, snapped it like a twig. And he was a tough guy. He was just, you know, I came walking up, his arm was deformed, and he was, you know, he's being a man. He's in uniform. He's got his soldiers with him. This is a hard charging NCO, kind of like a boss for those of you that are not in the military. NCOs run the military for those of you that don't know. So anyway, he's kind of doing this, and he's just like, I won't tell you what he said because there's children. But it was colorful, and I came up and like, hey man, yeah, you're, and I called him a few names jokingly that were colorful, you know, because that's what you do over there. And we sat him down, gave him an IV, pushed some morphine. After the morphine, pain kind of settled, and I see him look at him. You know, you can watch morphine hit people, just kind of, they just ease into it. Except when you're in a lot of pain, then they just kind of ease up a little. And he kind of looks at me, and he had another soldier with him. I think he was a sergeant at the time. And the sergeant, I think, had caught it before he did, and he told the staff sergeant that I was dealing with, and the staff sergeant. These guys are looking back and forth and looking at me, and I just looked at him, and he looks at me, and he goes, yeah? And I went, yeah. And at that time, the sergeant goes, cool. And that was as deep as the whole conversation. So, you know, there was no, like, I've never had anybody, like, come back to life and be like, oh my God, the Red Ranger saved my life. It'd probably make for an amazing story, but it never happened. You know, but a few people figure it out. I had other people who would come back to the firehouse, like when I was in D.C., in the D.C. area. They would come back like a week or 2 weeks later. We'd run so many calls, we'd never see the station during the day. And somebody would walk in and be like, hey, do you remember that call like 2 weeks ago? No. That's like asking me what I did 20 years ago. You know how many calls we go through in 2 weeks? It's nuts. Unless it's real, there are some calls you never forget. Crazy, hot, naked girls running around without clothes on. You remember those. Or at least I do. Just for now. Give it about 10 years. Then it won't be discussed. So anyway, you know, I had some guys that would come back by the firehouse, and you know, Mom would bring me cookies, and he'd be there, and I'd see the look, and yeah. Would you say yeah? And we talk, sign autographs. It was pretty cool. A couple times we used to get some stories on it. You know, good stuff. But it wouldn't happen near as often as you would think. Because people didn't expect to see me out there. I kind of disappeared. I didn't tell anybody where I went, what I did. I left. So people didn't expect to see me on the other coast in an ambulance with my mom's back. You know, you don't connect those dots. So, next. Sir?
Tell some things about Tweet.
Tweet.
I think I tried to get on that name.
Tweet what? Or it is. Tweet was, she was amazing. She was, well, you guys all saw her on the show. She was a little bit, but she could walk into a room and make anybody feel comfortable. She had this little devilish, mischievous side to her that you didn't know about until you kind of got to know her. and she just kind of get this grin and, you know, tilt her head. And you didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew it was soon. And so she was mischievous, she was fun, she was kind of like a sister, you know. I think to everybody on set, everybody loved her. I mean, genuinely, she was just that kind of lovable person. She had the most amazing jet black, straight hair. Walter Jones used to love to play with it. I kind of did too. I think he and I kind of both had a tweet crush. But you can't be around somebody that amazing and not kind of have a little bit of love. So she was just amazing, a pleasure to work with, and probably one of the greatest ladies to set foot on camera for the show. Good question. Next. Sir.
Was there ever a time, like in your life,
Patrick, right?
That's correct, where the thought of, I mean, as a fan and being a part of the fandom, I mean, never leaving it for 20 years, I always think fondly of that. Was there ever a time in your life where you did not think that you were Power Ranger, like when you were over in Kuwait? Like, if somebody gave you that look, were you wondering why they were giving you that look, or you just automatically associated?
No, you know, I'll tell you, I mean, definitely for probably 10 years after I left the show, I couldn't go anywhere. So then I immediately associated with that. When I was in the Middle East, I had a whole other reputation. So oftentimes, especially on some of the smaller commands, there were guys that I had helped, and girls, who needed help that I would do work on from time to time. And sometimes, and a lot of times there was no privacy. Not a lot of privacy in a lot of places over there. And so I had a lot of people that would just come up to me, you know, hey, Captain, thanks for your time. I saw that calling you on the other day. Thank you for helping out my battle buddy or my brother or my sister, whatever it was. So I didn't always associate it with Rangers. Towards the end, when my chief got a hold of the information that I was a Ranger, then everybody knew and they started reviving itself. So
I tried to get my brother-in-law to get your autograph. He wouldn't do it.
yeah, which base was I at when your brother-in-law was there?
So he was part of the 170th, or
And this was in Kuwait or when I was in Iraq?
Kuwait.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
And he said he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't bring it up to you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people thought I was going to fight him or something. I don't know what that was about. I mean, I know I'm ugly.
Did any of the soldiers ever ask you for an autograph?
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Sir, I'll get you next.
So in between doing all these cons and things like that, what is it you like to do for fun or a hobby or relax? What do you do?
Nothing I can admit to. Yeah, my Harley. I do a lot of work on my Harley. My Jeep. I'm driving the same Harley and Jeep I was on the show. I love them. I spend a lot of time with my boys, with my wife. My baby boys are amazing. I'm still not sure how they came from me. It might have been milk. But yeah, they're awesome. I spent a week at Disney with them. So that was pretty cool. Fun is it's kind of a spontaneous thing. I like to just be stupid. I don't know if that's a perpetual state of being for me or if it happens from time to time. I prefer to say it's from time to time, but it may actually be more constant. I'm not sure yet. What do you think? All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. But I love to have fun. I'm just kind of depends on the who and the what and the energy, and I just pick up on it. So it's great what happens the day you stop taking yourself serious. Life gets so much better, let me tell you. I spent a long time taking myself serious and everybody else, and then I just realized, you know what, I got a job, I've got studies, I'm gonna take those serious. And when I'm not doing those two things, to hell with whatever happens next, you know? And life became a lot more cool. So you should try it, I don't know, have it. Some of you are at cosplay, like, I mean, wearing some rabbit ears over there, that can't be like too serious. And she's got a big smile on her face, it's point and case, right? So red spandex. I don't know how I took myself serious in spandex. But I was 18, what did I do? Now I put it on and laugh my face off. Next question, sir.
Can we ever ask you to get someone at sea on accident?
You know, Maybe, like once or twice, but it was usually pretty controlled. I mean, I never hurt anybody or broke bones in a fight scene. The stuntmen were amazing. They were exceptional martial artists. They were very well trained, and most importantly, they had done so much work with us and with others that it was very forgiving. So, and we had done a lot of work with them, and nobody's perfect, despite what they might tell you. So sometimes they throw a kick, and maybe I stepped in too soon, and I see it coming at my head. Most of the time, be it them or myself, we catch it and go like, ooh, and you just kind of feel the wind. And there's the foot. Okay, let's try that again. And then we set it up. So there are a few times where I'm sure we gave each other a couple love taps, but it was just kind of one of those things like, I'm really glad you pulled that punch and didn't like stick it out the backside of my gut. So we never hurt each other when I was around, but we definitely had some moments. You know what? Actually, I did. Yamashita Tadashi for the audition. He was about this big. He was a master of Wataru, Japanese guy. He'd done several big movies, a lot of choreography. And we had a fight scene we were going to do at 20th Century Fox. Well, not at 20th, but the execs from 20th Century Fox, or maybe it was just from Fox, were there. And Haim Saban and Shuki and all these big dogs were there in this big horseshoe audition. And we had this scene that he and I were working through, and he kept pushing me to do this reverse crescent kick. He wanted me to do it full speed. If you're doing work like this, you get a feel for whether someone's going to get out of the way or not. And I kept telling him I didn't want to do it because I was afraid I was going to kick it. And he kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. I was like, no. Finally, we get in there to the audition. He looks at me full speed. Well, I was jacked. I was pumped. I was nervous. So I did it. And I kicked the snot out of him. And to his credit, though, the guy was such an amazing... And the highest rank I'd ever had at that time was a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. This guy was a master, like 40 years of really serious business and training. So when I made contact, he went flying, turned it into like this flying roll, hit the ground and came up. I mean, he made it look beautiful. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm like, I'm about to die. He's gonna kill me. And he got up, and I remember him walking around the horseshoe, just like, and he's walking it off, and I was like, I'm gonna pee my pants. Maybe I did. I'm not sure yet. And he came back around, and I mean, again, to his credit, he picked right back up where we left off. Now, I'll tell you, when he picked up, I felt a little more intensity behind what he was throwing in my way, like maybe he was hoping to get something through. And I think it was sheer fear and terror that I managed to survive it. But he was amazing. He made it look great. And I remember everybody in the room, they stood up and gave us this standing ovation. And I still thought he was going to kill me later. Like I wanted to go out the door and never come back. Just kick a master in the head. Not this guy. No. And I've been at it a long time. I still wouldn't want to kick that guy in the head. Yes, sir.
Two questions. They were entitled from what you did in Warcraft. What was it like meeting the Japanese counterpart?
That was pretty amazing. Yuta, what an amazing guy. First off, he's 50 now-ish, and looks amazing.
He was mature when he was series. I watched the entire series.
I haven't seen it, but I'm going to have to watch it.
Coming to the U.S.
Yeah, we had a translator with us the whole time. We talked and had a beer later that night and discussed a lot of options in the future and how things were. And conversation didn't move quickly because everything had to be translated. Again, I'm not fluent in Japanese. He was better with English than I was, which is kind of a shame on me. But it was really cool. I mean, he was a great guy.
It was probably one of the most epic things. I was watching it live on my computer because I couldn't make it to the time.
Yeah.
And I see you both walk up on stage, and I'm like,
mine was blue.
yeah, because I mean, I was really into the Rangers when I was a kid, and now an adult, I'm more into the Japanese version. As cheering. It'll do that to me. And just seeing, it was so weird. My mindset was not really feeling it because I've seen you both do the same. Seeing you guys, it was just weird. It was weird but cool at the same time. Just seeing you guys standing together doing it more was just mind blowing. Like,
it was definitely mind blowing because both of our coins fell out of the mortars.
Yeah. My other question was, I don't know if you're not able to answer this, but what about words about Dino charge?
There's no contract. Actually, I get ready to shoot. So,
I would love if you came to at least maybe for a few episodes, it'd been kind of cool.
yeah, well, at this point, I have no contracts with anybody in Harlem.
I've
I have
actually-
other movies in development, but nothing with Lake.
Well, the new kids are actually pretty impressive. I got to talk to the, I think he's doing it at the moment, but I talked to the Blue and the Blue, and I think it's going to be a very impressive season coming up. I was just really hoping you'd come back and, you know, like one of the characters' fathers were, in the Japanese series, one of the characters' father was also a ranger, and it showed up in the series, and I was like, could see it.
I've got nothing. I wish I did. It'd be cool. So you got a question, Mike?
I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is, did they use Sentai footage in the Zord battles when you were in Mighty Morphin?
I have no idea.
I see. The second question.
Yes.
My second question was,
It's all right. Think on it. We'll come back to it.
oh yeah, how was it like to be in Zero as a sixth ranger?
It was pretty cool.
Very shiny.
Good question. In the back. Jason, right?
Yeah.
That's a good name. I like it.
I'm pretty fond of it too. I was just curious, you have started doing conventions within the last year, and I was just wondering what drew you into the convention circuit, and what has been your, like, what have your experience been like while you've been doing all this?
Well, it was
stuff?
Walter Jones that called me up. I don't remember who called who, but I was in the Middle East and we ended up talking. And he told me about the circuit and the people were still here and that I should check it out. So I decided to check it out. And the reception has been amazing. I mean, it doesn't matter where I go, what country, what accent they're speaking with. It's been pretty amazing. It's a powerful thing. And, you know, we all knew it was big back then, but I had no concept or clue of how many people would have such powerful stories 20 years later. I've heard some amazing stories and so many wonderful fans. But, you know, it's something I don't think you guys know. You know, everybody talks about how my castmates and I may or may not have affected your lives as children, and how some of you may have found some of my castmates worthy of looking up to. And I got to tell you, that for me, you guys impacted me in a big way. Again, I was very young, and I could pretty much relate to the small children that came up and gave me the big Google eyes like I would have if I had met Superman at 5. So as I left the show, I felt like I needed to kind of grow up a lot. And it left me constantly feeling like I needed to better myself. I had to live up to this reputation or this image that I had created. It's kind of hard for me to separate from, even 20 years later, you know, and I disappeared pretty well for a while. But I always felt like I needed to live up to this powerhouse image, and continue to better my life in some way or some fashion. So I went through a lot. You know, I finished up, I was a high school dropout when I took the show. I finished up high school. I got my bachelor's in sports science, health studies. Then I went into emergency medicine, got another degree there. And then I worked in firehouses around the DC area, fire EMS. And then I got tactical ops training, or TCCC, and some CTV training, and all sorts of stuff that set me up to work with SWAT teams and the military. So a lot of that is a good part of my nature. It's just my drive, the way I'm built. I come from a long line of public servants, but a good portion of this was the need to maybe do what I used to act like I could save lives, and I kind of felt like I wanted to do it for real. And I found out doing it for real is not a glory job, and 9 times out of 10 when you do it, nobody knows about it. The stories don't get out. You know, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, tell us some stories, and you just don't. Those are people's very intimate moments, and they're not really something to be shared, you know, at least not in a public thing. Maybe amongst medics or with my brother, you know, we can talk about that. But so it's you guys that have inspired me in a lot of fashions to continue to better my life. So I thank you for that. Yes, sir.
I gotta pee. Can I go?
I got a bottle. That's what I do.
Get ready for licensing, we're pretty well there.
I'm looking forward to it. Yes, sir, in the back.
It's not about you, it's about the brother next to you.
Okay.
I've done that nicer. You take care of the person next to you, that's what it's about.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people say God Country Corps. A lot of people
It's
say.
the person next to you.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people, well, like I'm saying, a lot of people that don't know. And a lot of people who, when they get in, have this idealism. You know, I do it for God, for country, for Corps. That's why you go to boot camp. But when it hits the storm, that's not why you do what you do then. So. Sir.
This is a purely hypothetical question. If I'm being intimate with my wife and she calls me your name. Do you have an answer? How should I deal with
If
that?
she calls you my name.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Brooke.
Oh.
That's why this lady's mortified.
I don't know what she's been telling you, but I have never seen your wife before. But if she called you Austin, that'd be kind of cool. Or Big Daddy or T-Rex. Whatever works for y'all.
Anybody else?
Well, I was about first grade when the show came out, and I didn't watch it much past the original people. But I remember with my little girlfriends, like, always fighting over who wanted to be the Pink Ranger. I was curious what it was like to work with Amy.
What it was like to what?
Work with the Pink Amy.
Well, Amy was great. She's an amazing person, heart as big as Texas. I haven't seen her in quite some time. I hear she's doing well and happily married with an amazing family. But she was, you know, she was a hard worker. She was a professional. So it was cool.
How would you compare Jason Lee Scott, who was in Angel Grove High, to Austin St. John back in high school? How would you compare, you know, Austin St. John at 17 back in high school and Jason Lee Scott? Were they similar, different, like still serious?
I think they were pretty similar. I think I was typecast. I really do. They're like, wait, this kid's in high school. He's got an attitude and he's really good at martial arts. Done. I'm pretty sure. So I'm the casting director told me she liked my play. I don't know if that's what got me the part.
And Forever Red, I mean, I would like to know more about your experience in Forever Red. And also another small question was that your bike?
No, that was not my bike.
A lot of people ask that question, and I feel like I should come back to this now. So, yeah, it wasn't my bike. Forever Red was amazing. I didn't realize. I thought maybe there had been 3, maybe 4 Red Rangers since I left the show, and they, I don't even remember how they got a hold of me anymore. Yeah, I just don't remember. But nonetheless, they were like, no, there's been 12. And first thing I felt was old. The next thing I felt was even older. And then I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So I went back, and it was great meeting the guys. They were all amazing. And I got to hear about their experiences. And some of them were really psyched to meet me, which kind of blew my mind. It's like, you guys are Rangers? What are you talking about? They're like, but you were the first. I was like, wow, I don't know what to say to them.
Hey, yo,
Mr. Walter Jones!
Hey, yo, Jason, what's up, man? Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I just want to come in. I'm a big fan, and I just want to let you know that the Tyrannosaurus is my favorite dinosaur of all time. You rock! You rock! You rock! Can I hug you? Can I hug you? I just want to
Can I hug you?
Please! What's up, guys? How you guys doing today? You got it? You good? Yeah. Hey, I just want to say that thank you all for being here and coming out to support Mr. Austin St. John. He's an amazing guy. I got to tell you, that we used to be roommates back in the day. We lived in the house together. And,
What happened?
but we weren't.
He keeps bringing it up, so I feel like I have to clarify.
The really good thing is that we didn't have to share the same bathroom. So, but it was good. He just turned red. He did. You see that? It's a good color for you.
It was all the emotion.
Anyway, I just wanted to come and say what's up to my boy. Come and hang out with him for a second. Anyway, he's a good guy. It's amazing because I haven't seen him in like 7 years or something like that. 7 years, and it's good to have him back. You know, I'm happy he's here. I was like, yo, man, you gotta come back. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have him back in the room. And he's grown up to be such a cool dude too. He's like such a good man. I love that. Love that, brother. Anyway, here's the mic.
Thanks, sir.
I'm gonna go back to my table now.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna be here for a minute.
Hey, why don't you stay here and talk to the people?
Should I do that?
Yeah, this is-
No?
Yes.
No?
Yes. Hey, y'all don't want to talk to me, y'all come with me. Let's go! See you later.
This is like that. Later, man. All right. Questions? Patrick?
When you left, I guess, in second season and then for Zio, did you ever think that this show's gonna die soon, or like, did you all ever think, you know, let's get our couple episodes in because this show's probably gonna be over because it's so campy and cheesy and weird and cheap?
I thought it was never going to get past the pilot. Mainly because I couldn't keep a straight face when I was talking about it or delivering the lines. So I was like, well, not only is it campy and cheesy, but I can't do a delivery with a straight face. So it's definitely never going to get picked up. But when it did, then I thought, I'll be amazed if it makes it through the first season. And then we hit 40 countries, 90 languages, hundreds of millions of fans. And then I thought, it's never going to die. And right now, I'm still thinking it's never going to die. But yeah, it's been an emotional ride. It's going to go nowhere to it's immortal. Kind of feels like that. It's like, this is the Lestat of the TV world. It's going to be here forever. And I'm never going to get away from it. Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of in hearing you talk, it sounds like you've led such an amazing life. Have you ever thought about writing a book or just kind of your journey to where you are now?
Yes.
Good. I buy it.
I think I'm going to wait another 40 years to maybe I have something cool to add to it. Sir?
When you served, did you have to watch the regurgitated stuff that was played on aircraft carriers or destroyers?
Did I have to wash it?
Watch it. Watch it.
Oh.
Listen to it, my bad.
No, it's all right. Well, I didn't serve as in, I was never actually in the military. I was attached to military operations through the government as a medic. So,
That I did not know.
yeah, I through your lingo, I was like, I was not active duty. I want to give you that impression. I worked arm in arm. I worked arm in arm with them. So I still know what that is. 4 years ago. But I have been on aircraft carriers. I have been on carriers. Been in a lot of C-130s. Been in more than my share of Blackhawks, UH-60s. Even had a flight in a longboat, which was pretty cool. Pilot blacked out the windows, and driving a Tyrannosaurus was much less intense than that guy. But he did it to me on purpose, and it was cool. So I didn't watch a lot of TV, especially where I was in the Middle East. Wasn't a whole lot of that. In some areas, I mean, my last contracts in Kuwait, there was plenty of TV. Other areas, there was none. In fact, other areas, I was happy to open the tent and blow in the door because that was air conditioning. So it kind of depended on where we were. You know, we get to Chow Hall commonly over there, known as the BFAC, and most of us were hoping for a good football game. You know, I missed 5 seasons. I'm so excited to be back. And the problem is every weekend now I'm here and I still can't watch football. But I'm gonna. All right, so I'll take 2 more questions and then I got to cut it loose. I haven't heard from you yet.
I know you were pretty young when you did the Rangers. Did you ever fully comprehend how much you meant to the kids that were watching you film?
I think I thought I understood that. But I'll tell you, really, it came full circle when we came back this time. And seeing all these kids now grown up, and they're coming in with their parents and their children, and I'm looking at 3 generations. And they're telling me that they're teaching the next generation which part of the show is really the good parts. Hearing the stories, I think now there's really no way for me to miss what an amazing impact we had. And how positive our characters were for so many that could identify with any one of the characters for whatever reason. So it's pretty amazing to be a part of something that drove so deep into the hearts of culture. I mean, pop culture now. There's a museum going up in Boston where they're going to put us in a museum. Wait, that's insane. Don't you have to be 300 years old and gay to go in a museum? No, you just got to be Batman or a Power Ranger. So, anyway, one more question from somebody I haven't heard from. Sir.
How did you get auditioning for it?
$20 bet. Basically, it was a cattle call. They put an advertisement in the newspaper and said, we're looking for a young martial artist. A buddy of mine, Jamie, he said, hey, you're perfect for this role. Bet you $20 won't be wasting your time if you go for it. And I thought, that's lunch money for a week. All right, I'll make some money. This will be easy. I'll be damned. I lost $20 and here I am. Kind of cool. You know, my mom I'd always told my mom that I had interest in acting, and she had pushed me and stuff like that, but I never thought I'd go anywhere until today. So, anyway, thank you guys very much. They're telling me I gotta go.